Michael Scofield is the most prepared man in any room he's ever been in. He accounts for variables before they exist, builds contingencies for contingencies, and operates so many steps ahead that watching him feels less like watching a person and more like watching a machine run a program. And he still almost lost, over and over again. That's what this video is about, not the victories, the moments where everything nearly came apart. The moments where one more second, one more question, one more step in the wrong direction would have ended it. Because the escapes are impressive, but the near misses are what tell you who Michael Scofield actually is. Let's start at the very beginning. Sarah notices he's not diabetic. Season 1, Episode 1. Michael's entire infirmary access, the structural foundation of the Fox River escape, depended on one thing: convincing Dr. Sarah Tancredi that he had type 1 diabetes. Without those daily insulin visits, he has no legitimate reason to be in the infirmary. Without the infirmary, he has no access to the route. The whole plan starts there. He walks in on day 2 feeling untouchable. He doesn't stay that way long. Sarah notices that his glucose levels are abnormally low.
You sure it's type 1 diabetes you've got?
Ever since I was a kid.
That his body is reacting to the insulin like someone who isn't actually diabetic. She tells him directly, on his next visit, she wants to run a proper test. One more visit, one confirmed result, and the escape is over before it starts. Michael visibly freezes. What makes this moment so excruciating is the timing. This is Episode 1. The plan is barely breathing. And Sarah, who Michael had spent considerable effort profiling and anticipating, spotted the anomaly on his second visit. Not his 10th, his second. Michael survived because he'd already planned for her suspicion before she had it. He went to C-Note, paid him in advance for Pugnac, an insulin blocker, and passed Sarah's test on the next visit perfectly. She noticed his nerves while she tested him. She dismissed them because the result came back clean. She was right about everything except the conclusion, and Michael had closed that gap before she even opened the question. The Boiler Room. Burn. Season 1, Episodes 8 to 9. Michael has been moving through the prison's pipe system at night, invisible, methodical, mapping the route underneath the guard's room. Then one night, it all goes wrong at once. He comes back to his cell with a severely burnt back. Sucra has to physically remove his uniform, which has melted into Michael's skin, tearing flesh in the process. That detail alone is brutal, but the consequences don't stop there. Sarah finds a piece of the scorched uniform fabric and brings it to Warden Pope. Believing a guard tortured Michael, Pope presses Michael directly. Michael says nothing. Pope sends him to solitary. And then, underneath all of that, the audience realizes something worse. The burned section of his back wasn't just skin, it was blueprint. A critical portion of the tattoo covering the psych ward route has been destroyed. In a single night, Michael almost exposed the tunnel, lost his cover, ended up in solitary, and had a hole blown through the map he'd spent months designing and tattooing onto his own body. The physical brutality of this scene, uniform fused to skin, Sucra pulling it free, makes it one of the most viscerally uncomfortable moments of the entire season. And just when the audience thinks it's processed the worst of it, the camera finds the burned patch of tattoo. One bad night, nearly everything gone. Bellick finds the escape hole. Season 1, Episode 20. The escape is days away.
Big canned whores available to you 24/7.
Believe me, what I got is worth it.
The tunnel beneath the PI workyard is essentially complete. One more night of work, and they're through. Then Brad Bellick, the most suspicious and vindictive guard in Fox River, walks over and finds the hole. Bellick gets knocked out, but Westmoreland, one of Michael's most trusted allies, is wounded in the process. And Michael immediately understands what finding the unconscious guard means. The moment Bellick is missed, everything unravels. Guards searching, questions asked. The hole found properly this time, with documentation and consequences. They have to go that night. The escape was not supposed to happen yet. Sarah hadn't confirmed her part. The plan wasn't fully synchronized. Every variable Michael had spent months controlling for suddenly compresses into a single improvised window. He has to solve multiple simultaneous problems. A wounded ally, an unconscious guard on a timer, an incomplete plan, and make them all work before morning. What makes this so effective dramatically is that it's the worst possible timing. Not early in the season when adjustments could be made. Right at the end, when every piece was in position and the only thing left was execution. Bellick found the hole at the single moment when finding it could do maximum damage. Mahone at the Graveyard. Season 2, Episode 2. Michael's tattoo contained a clue. Ripe Chance Woods. A cemetery, a fake grave marked R.I.P.E. Chance Woods. Buried inside, clothes, passports, car keys, everything the team needed for the first phase of life as fugitives. Michael designed the tattoo to be indecipherable. He had years to build it. Agent Mahone cracked it in 48 hours. The team gets to the graveyard, digs up what they need and what's wide mad, and Mahone arrives while they're still there. He had decoded a system Michael spent years constructing, in less than 2 days of being assigned the case. This is the moment the show changes categories. Every authority figure before Mahone, Bellick, Hope, the prison system itself, was manageable, beatable. Mahone decoding that tattoo is the first signal that Michael has met something genuinely different. Not a slower version of himself, a different kind of mind entirely, operating at a speed that Michael's planning hadn't fully accounted for. The team gets away, but the audience feels something shift. For the first time since the escape, there is genuine fear for Michael, and not because of a mistake he made, but because of how fast the man chasing him moves. The LJ Courthouse Rescue, Season 2, Episode 2. On the same day as the graveyard, Michael and Lincoln attempt their first major post-escape operation. intercepting LJ at the Cook County Courthouse during his hearing. Michael had a plan, a communication method, a synchronized extraction. Mahone had already broken the communication method and was waiting. What was supposed to be a clean operation became a running gunfight. Lincoln took a bullet. They ended up at Nika Volick's house, bleeding and regrouping, hours after walking out of Fox River. The speed of the countermove is what lands hardest here. Michael had just escaped one of the most secure prisons in Illinois. He had a post-escape plan already operational. Mahone dismantled it before it started, on day one of the manhunt. Freedom didn't mean safety. It just meant a different kind of trap, faster and less predictable than the one they'd left behind. Mahone and Sarah at the Factory, Season 2, Episode 10. The New Mexico reunion between Michael and Sarah is the emotional centerpiece of Season 2. The show had been building to it for 10 episodes. For one brief scene, everything feels possible. Then Mahoney arrives. He had tracked Sarah's airline ticket purchase, decoded her route, and was already closing before they'd finished talking. The reunion lasted minutes. They got into Michael's car, were chased through the city, and crashed into an abandoned factory van where Mahoney continued closing in. Michael distracted him to get Sarah out, but the detail that hits hardest isn't the chase. It's what Michael tells Sarah during it.
Michael, what are you doing?
That Mahone isn't trying to catch him. He's trying to kill him. It's the first time Michael says it out loud. The warmth of the reunion is immediately swallowed by that revelation. The moment the show had been building to all season gets about 4 minutes before Mahone takes it apart. And the man doing the taking has no interest in arrest. The Killing Box, Season 2, Episode 13. Michael and Lincoln are captured and brought to a holding facility in New Mexico. It appears completely over. Law enforcement on one side, company agents operating within the same facility on the other. And Agent Kim gives Mahone a direct order. Kill them both. Mahone pushes back. They're surrounded by law enforcement officers. Kim's response is to threaten Mahone's family. Michael is in custody, surrounded, with a company operative ordering his execution. And for once, he has no tools, no plan, and no visible allies. Father Aldo Burrows arrives with a team and pulls them out. Michael's survival here is not engineered. It depends entirely on someone else's action arriving at exactly the right moment. This is the only moment in the series that fits that description. Every other near miss, Michael had something in play. A contingency, a resource, a backup already positioned. Here he had nothing. He was saved by someone who loved him, which makes it the most purely terrifying moment in the entire series, because it's the one time the audience can't comfort itself with the thought that Michael probably planned for this too. Whistler nearly stabs Michael, Season 3. One sentence in an episode description. Whistler is ready to stab Michael when Lachero arrives and he hides the knife. One sentence. One moment. Michael came within seconds of being murdered by his own escape partner.
Sorry you got caught up in my troubles, Michael.
The man he had been ordered to break out of Sona. The man he had been building an alliance with all season. He didn't see the knife. He didn't plan for the knife. Lachero's arrival was not Michael's contingency. It was coincidence. Michael had controlled every relationship in every prison he'd ever been in. Sona was different. No blueprints, no preparation, an unknown quantity as an ally. The Whistler moment is the show acknowledging that openly. In Sona, Michael was genuinely operating blind. Michael collapses. During the mission, Season 4, Episode 10. 4 episodes, the audience had been watching the nosebleeds build. The headaches. The blackouts Michael managed in private, while running a multi-person heist against the most powerful criminal organization on the planet. Something was coming. It arrived mid-mission. Michael collapsed attempting to take Scylla. The company seized him and took him to their facility, where he was diagnosed with a hypothalamic hamartoma, a tumor on his temporal lobe. Surgery required immediately or he dies. The company's offer was simple. They'll operate and save him, but Lincoln retrieves Scylla for them. Michael's body became a bargaining chip before he regained consciousness. Every other near miss on this list came from outside. An enemy too smart, a guard in the wrong place, a partner with a hidden knife. This one came from inside his own skull. The one system Michael had no blueprint for, no contingency for, no backup plan against, was himself. The audience had watched the signs for episodes. When the collapse finally came, it still hit like a gut punch, because knowing it was coming didn't make it any easier to watch the most prepared man in the room run out of ways to prepare. These are the best moments in my opinion. Would you add any other moment to the list? Leave it in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe.